Good morning, and welcome to your AI Daily Press morning podcast for April 28, 2026. I'm your host, Walter. Firstly, in international trade, China has achieved a record surplus with the European Union, driven largely by electric vehicle exports. The EU is seeking ways to protect its strategic industries from unfair competition, while China warns of countermeasures if new laws discriminate against Chinese exports. Secondly, we're following developments in the attempted breach of security at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, where a gunman was apprehended and one officer was injured. The president and other high-ranking officials were unharmed, and an investigation is underway to determine the motive behind the attack. Lastly, we reported on tensions between the European Union and China over trade imbalances, with the EU introducing initiatives to reduce reliance on rare earths and other critical materials imported from China. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz emphasized the need to reduce the significant trade deficit, which has quadrupled in 5 years. These stories highlight complex global issues, from trade and security to the ongoing threats faced by public figures. We'll continue to provide updates and analysis as more information becomes available. Now, for the latest in social and cultural news, here is Barbara Waters.
You, Walter, and Nanshul and know what's right now. We're starting the day with a look at some of the top stories from around the world. Firstly, we're following developments in West Africa, where the country of Mali is facing a deepening crisis. Jihadist groups have launched a series of coordinated attacks on key cities, including the capital Bamako, leaving the country's fragile security apparatus reeling. The international community has condemned the violence, and there are reports of French and other international forces mobilizing to support the Malian military. We're also looking at the situation in the Sahel region, where militant groups have exploited long-standing ethnic and tribal tensions to further their goals. Experts warn that the violence could have far-reaching consequences for regional stability, potentially drawing in neighboring countries and sparking a wider conflict. In related news, the European Union has announced plans to increase its support for the Malian government, including providing additional funding for security and development projects. The move is seen as an effort to bolster the country's fragile institutions and help stabilize the region. We're also remembering the families of those affected by a tragic incident in Afghanistan, where a series of attacks has left many dead and injured. Our thoughts are with those who have been impacted by this senseless violence. Finally, we're taking a look at the latest developments in the global fight against terrorism. The United Nations has warned that the threat from extremist groups remains high and that a coordinated international effort is needed to combat the menace. Now for the latest in business and finance, here is Louis Riskweiser.
Thank you, Barbara. I'm Louis, your guide through the world of finance and economics. Firstly, we took a closer look at Meta Platforms, where predictions of substantial growth are being weighed against warnings about risk. As investors consider their next moves, it's essential to approach this tech giant with a nuanced understanding of both its opportunities and challenges. In other news, Canada has unveiled an $18 billion investment fund aimed at supporting major industrial projects across various sectors, including energy, infrastructure, mining, agriculture, and technology. This initiative is part of the country's strategy to diversify its economy, particularly in the face of potential trade tensions with the United States. Lastly, Indonesia is accelerating the rollout of a higher biodiesel blend, known as B40, to July, ahead of its initial schedule. This move aims to reduce crude oil demand and mitigate the economic fallout of the ongoing energy crisis in Southeast Asia. The region's governments are exploring alternative supplies and implementing measures to promote energy efficiency. As we navigate these complex developments, it's crucial to stay informed and maintain a balanced perspective. Now for the latest in science and technology, here is Carl Starman.
Thank you, Louis. Firstly, NASA's Artemis program has faced delays and setbacks, but the agency remains committed to returning humans to the moon by 2024. This mission is not just about reaching the lunar surface. It's also about testing equipment, developing strategies, and refining techniques that will ultimately enable human journeys to Mars and beyond. In another development, the Federal Aviation Administration has introduced new licensing requirements for commercial spaceflight operators in the burgeoning space tourism industry. While some operators have expressed concerns that these regulations might stifle innovation, proponents argue that they are necessary for ensuring public safety and standardizing practices across different companies. Lastly, despite the challenges faced by NASA's Artemis program and the regulatory hurdles in space tourism, the industry is poised for significant growth. As technology improves and new companies enter the market, it's essential to strike a balance between regulation and innovation to ensure that space travel becomes increasingly accessible to a wider audience. We'll continue to follow these developments and bring you updates as more information becomes available. Now for the latest in sports, here is Howard Closewell.
Thank you, Carl. Let's dive into a quick recap of our recent sports updates. Firstly, we've been following the journey of Fernando Mendoza, the talented young athlete who's making his mark in the NFL. With his impressive skills and dedication, he's sure to be a player to watch in the upcoming season. In other news, Colin Cowherd has shared his insights on which teams have made significant strides towards becoming instant contenders. The New York Giants, Las Vegas Raiders, and Kansas City Chiefs are all looking strong, with savvy draft picks and free agent signings that could pay dividends in the new season. And for all you horse racing enthusiasts out there, the Kentucky Derby is just around the corner. With a wide-open field and no clear favorite, this year's Derby is shaping up to be one of the most exciting in recent history. Expert analyst Jody Demling has shared his picks, cautioning against counting out strong challengers like Further Auto, Commandment, and the Puma. Stay informed, and let's look forward to seeing how these stories unfold in the world of sports. Now for the latest in travel and human interest, here is Charles Curl.
Thank you, Howard. First, we shared a remarkable story of hope and resilience as a young woman found solace in a stranger's small gesture of kindness, giving her the strength to leave a toxic relationship behind. This heartwarming tale reminds us that even the smallest acts can have a profound impact on someone's life. Next, we explored the vibrant streets of Peru, where a unique Korean-inspired cafe is making waves with its commitment to using fresh, locally sourced ingredients and warm hospitality. Snug, as it's called, has become a hub for the local community, showcasing the best of Korean culture and Australian hospitality. And finally, we brought you an extraordinary story of a chance encounter between two strangers on a plane, where a simple thumbs up from one person gave another the courage to start anew. This story is part of our Unsung Heroes series, celebrating everyday people who make a difference in the lives of others. These stories remind us that kindness, compassion, and connection are the threads that weave our communities together. Join us every morning on the AI Daily Press podcast for more inspiring tales of human connection and resilience. Now for the latest in fashion and entertainment, here is Joan Streams.
Thank you, Charles. First up, we have news about Spotify's expansion into the fitness app market. The music streaming giant has partnered with Peloton to offer guided workout experiences and on-demand classes to its users. This move marks a significant shift for Spotify as it aims to become an all-in-one platform, catering to various aspects of its users' daily lives. Next, we're discussing the state of comedy in Hollywood. Our article reviews Jorma Tacconi's new film, Over Your Dead Body, which is a remake of the Norwegian movie The Trip. While the film has its moments of dark humor and creative camera work, it tries to do too much and doesn't quite hit the mark. However, it's a commentary on the struggles of making comedies in a world that seems to have lost its sense of humor. Finally, we're touching on the potential impact of Spotify's foray into the fitness world on the media landscape. With its massive user base and diverse offerings, Spotify is poised to capitalize on the growing demand for holistic wellness solutions. Tune in to our full articles on the AI Daily Press website for more in-depth analysis and discussion. Stay cinematic, everyone! Now for the latest in nature and environment, here is David Attenacher.
Thank you, Joan. And that completes our morning podcast for today. Thank you for listening. Until this evening, I'm David Attenacher for AI Daily Press, the world's most unbiased news source.